All right, folks, welcome into our first mock draft for the 2025 NFL draft on the day that the 2024 NFL season kicks off. Ravens at Chiefs tonight, ready to rumble. Cannot wait for that one. We've got football tomorrow in Brazil. Packers taking on the Eagles, a full slate on Sunday, Monday Night Football. It's going to be a great NFL weekend. But before it all kicks off, we're going to do our first 2025 NFL mock draft to get this thing going. First round mock draft here. Going to go through every single team. Doing this on NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. As you can see, it's my favorite product on the web in terms of user experience. So we're going to go ahead and get it fired up. And the Carolina Panthers are up first here in the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. And I'm not going to belabor the point here. I think that Travis Hunter would be a fantastic fit with Bryce Young. Yes, Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, I think is a player that, look, you could choose between wide receiver and corner. I think wide receiver is the second most important position in football right now. Wide receiver is the position where this guy can actually help your quarterback succeed. Yes, the Panthers have, heavily invested in wide receiver. Bringing in Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, obviously not going to be around for very long, but you've brought in Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Legette. I think Travis Hunter's skill set is so unique. The ways that he can win with his unbelievable athleticism, his feel for creating space against corners, partially because he's played so much corner. His ball skills, his hands are extremely tough, like strong hands. I just think you want Travis Hunter with the football in his hands. I think you want to throw the football to Travis Hunter down the field. I'm getting Travis Hunter to catch passes from Bryce Young and not thinking about it. He is the number 2 player on my board behind safety Malachi Starks, who will also come off the board at some point here. But safety is a devalued position. We've seen it. We've absolutely seen it. So Travis Hunter to the Carolina Panthers. If you're a Panthers fan, let me know what you think in the comment section below. New England Patriots up next. Another team that could certainly use more receiver talent. I love what they did in the draft this year, adding Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. But they're also a team that could really use some offensive line help. And I know Will Campbell does not have the greatest length, but I think he's a really good athlete, incredibly strong, whether he's playing tackle or guard for you. I think he's really going to help Drake May out in a big way. And I think that's the smart path to go down here for the New England Patriots, getting a Will Campbell who is going to be a stalwart for a long, long time. The strength throughout his frame. He's a young football player. A lot of people kind of talk about him as if he's kind of reached his ceiling. No. Will Campbell is going to continue to improve. No, he does not have elite length. He has everything else you could possibly ask for, though. And I think he screams New England Patriots to me. And so we're going to add Will Campbell to the New England Patriots offensive line, and he's going to help protect Drake May. He's going to help clear running lanes as well. Denver Broncos, a lot of different directions they could go. Obviously, they got their quarterback of the future in Bo Nix, Sean Payton's handpicked guy. You could bring in Will Johnson, who's a fantastic corner prospect, to pair with Patrick Surtain. I think that might be a little overkill. I think you really want to go get a receiver who can. I think you have a pretty good offensive line overall. I don't think you're going to be drafting like an interior offensive lineman, a center at 3 overall. Why not go get Teteroa McMillan, T-Mac, who kind of fits the bill of a Sean Payton style receiver, big, physical, but he has great quickness and suddenness for his size, unbelievable hands, ball skills. Just had the game of his life last week. How about T-Mac for the Denver Broncos? I like that fit quite a bit. New York Giants, now this is a team. They need a quarterback. Daniel Jones ain't it. Carson Beck is the top quarterback on my board. He falls to them at 4 here because the first 3 teams already have their young quarterbacks. Could there be trades? Yes. There could absolutely be some teams looking to trade up to land their quarterback of the future. In fact, there probably will be, right? But right now, we're not going to have trades. We're not going to do trades in this first mock draft. We're just going to keep it static and have Carson Beck going to the New York Giants. Beck is extremely accurate. He can absolutely attack the middle of the field, which is key. I think he can attack all areas of the field with his arm talent. And he's a good athlete. He's smart. And I think that he's a good fit, really in any system at the NFL level. But he's a guy that I just think has all the requisite tools and continues to show the growth Like against Clemson, middle of the field wasn't open. He was able to hit things on the outside underneath quite a bit. I think he can adjust his game to what defenses present to him, and he's just got a pretty good floor and a nice ceiling as well. Is he ever going to have the strongest arm in the NFL? No, but I do think he has an above average NFL arm in terms of arm strength. He can throw off platform, he can throw from different arm angles, and he's a very accurate passer. So I like Carson Beck quite a bit for the New York Giants there. At number 5, we have the Tennessee Titans. Let's make this easy, right? James Pierce, he's an unbelievable pass rusher. I think the Titans could use somebody like him. They have Jeffrey Simmons. They have, obviously, Tavondre Sweat on the interior. Yeah, Arden Key and Harold Landry are there, but you could really use somebody who can be that number one pass rusher, get after the quarterback. There's a couple candidates here, but why not keep it in state with James Pierce Jr. from the Tennessee Volunteers? Let's do that. Washington Commanders, you've got your quarterback, Jaden Daniels. I worry about the offensive line, but are we sold on any of the offensive linemen here? I'm a big Kelvin Banks fan. I think Emory Jones is going to be a guard at the next level. Kelvin Banks, there's some people that believe that with him too, but I don't think that's the case. Obviously, you don't need interior defensive linemen for the Commanders. You could use edge. Abdul Carter, very attractive. Nick Scorton, very attractive as well. I think those would be the top candidates there. Wide receiver, Luther Burden, pretty awesome player. Isaiah Bond, awesome player. Emeka Egbuka going to be very dependable at the next level. A lot of different directions you could go for the Commanders. How about getting Will Johnson to be that lockdown corner that you need on that side of the ball? Yeah, you want to help Jaden Daniels out. You do. But I think that Will Johnson is clearly the best value here. Getting to the Las Vegas Raiders, this is another team that is desperately in need of an upgrade at the quarterback position. Shedeur Sanders, I could really see that fit. I could. This is a guy that has dealt with a lot of pressure in his face throughout his time at Colorado and handles it really well. I think he's got a nice plus arm, very accurate with the football, can throw with anticipation, with timing. He's not like an above average athlete, but he's pretty good in the athleticism department and can throw from different platforms and arm angles. And I think he sees the field well. I like Shedeur Sanders to the Las Vegas Raiders there at number 7 overall. New Orleans Saints, another team that could use a quarterback of the future, desperately need offensive tackles as well. Let's say that the New Orleans Saints keep it in state again with LSU offensive lineman Emory Jones Jr. He's physical as heck. I love the demeanor that he plays with. Again, I think he probably is a guard at the next level, but he kind of fits what the Saints need. A little bit of physical, a little bit of violence up front. Minnesota Vikings, they could use a lot of different things. Cornerback would be huge. Like if Will Johnson had fallen here, that would have been fantastic. I still think they could go Benjamin Morrison, Takario Davis, Siobhan Revell, Denzel Burke I'm a fan of, but I don't know if I'm a fan of him this high. I think that they should probably end up going with one of the top players available on the board. And I'm going to say that you went and got Dallas Turner last year. Let's get somebody on the interior to help him out. Mason Graham is a fantastic interior defensive lineman for the Michigan Wolverines. Huge fan of his game. I think he's going to be incredibly stout, but also a guy that can absolutely disrupt in the backfield as a run defender and a pass rusher. Arizona Cardinals could really use some defense here. No question about it. Deone Walker, he's got kind of a wide gap in between his ceiling and his floor, but his ceiling is unbelievable. Like what Deone Walker could be in the NFL level, he could be the most disruptive interior defensive lineman in this class, bar none. Abdul Carter out of Penn State, a guy that could go higher than this, switching over to edge from linebacker. He's an unbelievable athlete, very disruptive football player. I'm a huge Malachi Starks guy. I don't think they're going to go safety here. Michael Williams out of Georgia has an ankle sprain, which is really unfortunate. You really wanted to see him play more on the edge this year. Luther Burden is an all-around great wide receiver. Unbelievable explosiveness, athleticism. Great yak guy. You can get the ball in his hands at all 3 levels. So they've got some great options here. I'm going to go defense. They've got to address defense. I think Michael Williams, he's going to be a great run defender. Got to develop as a pass rusher a little bit. Sounds a little bit like one of the guys that the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted at number 1 overall, Trayvon Walker. Michael Williams, I think that Jonathan Gannon could get fired up about that. Seattle at number 11. They've got a lot of options here. They really do. I think they have their tackles of the future. What does Mike McDonald want to do? Let's say he wants to pursue edge even more. Abdul Carter out of Penn State. He is just too much of a freak to leave on the board here. I think Mike McDonald could really weaponize that type of talent. Indianapolis Colts, this is a team that really needs cornerback. I think that Benjamin Morrison is a good fit here, but I think Takario Davis and Siobhan Revell, assuming that Gus Bradley's still there, really make a lot of sense for the Indianapolis Colts. I think Revell is going to have a huge year at ECU. I think he's going to test really well. Let's go Revell for the Indianapolis Colts at 12 overall, which is pretty early. It is, no doubt about it. But I think he is a fit for that football team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've lost some defensive players over the last year or so. How about a Nick Scarton? Transferred over to Texas A&M this year. He is a big physical athlete at defensive end who has a wide variety of pass rush moves already, a fantastic spin move. You can move him around the formation. I really like that fit for them. And for me, he's a little bit higher on my board than this. Number 14 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that does need some offensive firepower, in my opinion. Outside of Pickens, I do like Roman Wilson. Luther Burden would be a fantastic fit for them. Just use him all over the place offensively. Complements George Pickens and Roman Wilson well, in my opinion. Yeah, I like that fit. Number 15, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll tell you what, Jaguars fans will not be happy if they're picking at 15 overall. But can't be mad about the guys that are available here. Looking at the Jags, I think that they're going to retain Walker Little after the season, who can be a starting left tackle for them. I've looked at it. I think that potentially adding a cornerback, an interior offensive lineman is going to be their top needs. But Trent Baalke doesn't necessarily like to draft for need all the time. He likes to eliminate a lot of needs before the draft so he can go get his best player available. Let's see what we got going on here. He loves drafting big boys on the edge and on defensive line. I could definitely see them going after a corner. It would not surprise me if this was the situation where they went and drafted a Benjamin Morrison. He doesn't have elite size, but he's a heck of a player. Would they go Deone Walker after signing Eric Armstead, drafting Mason Smith? Devon Hamilton still under contract. They've got so much depth up front on the defensive line. I don't think that they would go tight end here. If Walker Little and Cam Robinson exit, they could go tackle, offensive tackle, no doubt about it. I'm going to go a little bit chalky here for them and go Benjamin Morrison. Opposite Tyson Campbell. Obviously, Ronald Darby is up there in age. He's not on a long-term contract. He's dealt with injuries. So getting someone to play opposite Tyson Campbell, I think, makes a lot of sense for the Jacksonville Jaguars. At 16, what type of player is Jim Harbaugh and company looking for? I think Jim Harbaugh might be the type to pull the trigger on Malachi Starks because, again, to me, best player in this draft regardless of position. Such a stud. Yeah, that makes sense for me. 17, Cleveland Browns. What do they want to do here? They could be looking for a new tackle. Yeah, let's give them Kelvin Banks here out of Texas, who inconsistencies last year, certainly, but in the biggest of moments, in the biggest of games, Kelvin Banks really played very well against some really good competition. I'm a fan of his game. 18, Los Angeles Rams. Do they need another interior rusher after getting Kobe Turner and Jared Verse on the outside? But obviously they went and got his running mate at Florida State, Braden Fisk. So they've got two guys that can really wreak some havoc on the interior. But they definitely need to upgrade defensively. I think that they could go corner here. Denzel Burke makes sense for me. I think that's a good fit. Chicago Bears, what do they want to do? Upgrade offensive line. I think they could use Deion Walker. Imagine plugging him in there with all the talent they have on that defense. I love that fit. He plays high a little bit, upright, but there's nobody who can wreak more havoc potentially in the NFL than Deion Walker with his combination of size, length, and athleticism. And he's already got some nice interior pass rush moves down. I think that fit would be really fun. Atlanta Falcons at 20. What? Do we want to take another quarterback? No, I think that this time they might actually address some needs here. They need to upgrade their defense. Would they go linebacker this early? Probably not. I think they could be a candidate to trade down here. I think Kenneth Grant could make sense for them. Tyleik Williams, I do not have that high. Could they get a running mate for A.J. Terrell long term here? I don't love my options here on defense as much as I do some of the offensive options here, quite frankly. Emeka Egbuka would make a lot of sense with them. Could they go Ashton Jeanty? No, they couldn't. They got Bijan. One of the best running back prospects that I've seen, Bijan Robinson. Jeanty's a lot of fun, though. Probably going to try to sneak him into the first round here. Let's go. They're just such a hard team to try to pick for because you don't know what they're going to do. Shocked the world with that quarterback pick. Bringing in Michael Penix. They're going to draft a tight end. They got Kyle Pitts still. This is a tough one. Let's go Kenneth Grant. That's just a solid football player right there. Doesn't get as much pub because of his teammate there that plays next to him that we drafted already. But at 21, Miami Dolphins, where could they go? I think you want to replace Christian Wilkins. Is there somebody that can do that here? I'm not sold on that prospect. Could they go corner opposite Jalen Ramsey? Yes, they certainly could. I think that they're probably feeling pretty good about their edge players as long as Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb can stay healthy. They brought in Chop Robinson as well. Could Landon Jackson make sense for them? A guy who can move around the formation? Is it a little early for that? You could certainly upgrade your interior offensive line. I think Jonah Savaiinaea, trying to replace Robert Hunt, could make a ton of sense. Tyler Booker. I like those options, certainly. Yeah, I think we're going to go Savaiinaea to replace Robert Hunt. I don't think they adequately replaced him this year. New York Jets at 22 overall. What could they use? Is Aaron Rodgers still there? Maybe. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do here in 2024. We're going to go Colston Loveland. Value pick here. Somebody who I think is going to be a high-impact tight end pass catcher at the next level. 23 Green Bay Packers do not need another receiver, certainly, right? They have a type. They go for some of the best athletes on the planet, generally speaking. They did pretty heavily invest in linebacker this past draft. They've done it over the last few drafts. Quay Walker. They went and got Hopper and Edgerrin Cooper. What do they want to do here? Corner? Tacario Davis? That could be a good fit. Let's do that for the Green Bay Packers. Upgrade at corner. And that's going to depend on how Stokes plays this year. And obviously, you still have Jair Alexander. Houston Texans, they have upgraded their linebacker core. They've got some young guys. They went and got Azeez Al-Shaair. They brought in Joe Mixon this year. They have Dameon Pierce. Could they be the team that pulls the trigger on an Ashton Jeanty? I like what they have at cornerback now with Kamari Lassiter and obviously Derek Stingley. I'm a pretty big fan of that combo. Safety, they've got guys. They could definitely use interior defensive line. We've taken some good guys off the board already. I don't feel comfortable taking a Tyleik Williams there. It's a tough pick for them. This is another team I think could trade out here in this spot. Is 23 too early? I don't think so. I think he could revolutionize that offense long term. Ashton Jeanty. Like Joe Mixon is a good short-term option. I don't think that they like Dameon Pierce with the way they want to run the football, a lot of outside zone. I think Jeanty can do it all. Dallas Cowboys at 25. Do we want to continue to try to upgrade our offensive line? Went and got Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe this year. They're really good at developing these guys. Is Terrence Steele going to be a long-term option? I think that's up in the air this year. Definitely going to be fascinating for the Cowboys. They could absolutely use a running back too. Could you go running back early in the draft in the first round? That would be pretty surprising, but Cowboys could really use a running back. They could use an off-ball linebacker. How about Harold Perkins from LSU? Jalen Walker as well. Two very good football players. Cowboys, they're a draft and develop team, no doubt about it. So they've got to have a lot of development this year. They could also use a wide receiver in a big way to help out CeeDee Lamb. How about Isaiah Bond and his speed? I think that would be a fantastic fit. I like that a lot. 26, Buffalo Bills. Matt Milano having a lot of trouble staying healthy. But they do draft really well at the linebacker spot, and they develop really well at the linebacker spot. Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, I think those guys are adequate. Hopefully Matt Milano can get back healthy. This is a team that could use young corners, certainly, but we have drafted a lot of corners already. Do they need another wide receiver that primarily is going to win in the slot? I think Khalil Shakir can fill that role. Dalton Kincaid can fill that role. Do you want another outside receiver potentially to pair with Keon Coleman that maybe has a little bit of a different versatile skill set? That could be an option. We've taken some good receivers off the board already. Could you go safety? Certainly. Starting to feel a little bit like we're running out of real first round type talents here. I think, a JT Tuimoloau or a Jack Sawyer could make sense. I'm going to go for somebody who I don't think gets enough respect here. Princely Umanmielen. Von Miller not going to play forever. I know that the Buffalo Bills have some other edge guys as well. Gregory Rousseau. I believe they retained their other edge, former Iowa player. I can't remember his name right now, but Princely Umanmielen has an unbelievable skill set. His get off, he's got an unbelievable arsenal of pass rush moves. I think that'd be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills. Philadelphia Eagles, now that is a team that needs linebacker play. And a team that loves Georgia Bulldogs. Let's go Harold Perkins here. LSU. Maybe replacing another former LSU Tiger at linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles. Cincinnati Bengals, what's going to happen with some of these contract situations with them? I don't know. I really don't. Is T. Higgins going to be there? I don't know. I think Emeka Egbuka would be a really nice fit for them. I think they could use a true RB1 as well after losing Joe Mixon. They do have Chase Brown, Zach Moss. Chase Brown's he's exciting, but man, this is a tough one. They could absolutely use some edge help. I think Jack Sawyer makes sense for them. Initially, I had Tuimoloau a little ahead of Sawyer. I think that they're pretty much even for me. I think Sawyer's got a little bit more technical refinement and consistency to his game. Detroit Lions. Who is a Detroit Lion amongst this group? They have a very specific type. I don't think they're going to be going linebacker. I think that Campbell's going to have a big season for them. Cornerback, they heavily went in on this past offseason. They're good at safety. Could they get another edge to help out? They could. Obviously, they brought in Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson. James Houston is a designated pass rusher. Could JT Tuimoloau fit for them? Could Landon Jackson fit for them? I think JT kind of plays like a Detroit Lion. I could see that. I have more of a second round grade on him, but again, pretty much all the players at this point, second round grades. Yeah. Emeka Egbuka, kind of a redundant skill set in my opinion with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not the same player, but you'd probably want to use them in similar ways. Yeah. JT Tuimoloau, Detroit Lions, 29 overall. All right. Up next, Baltimore Ravens. They're always able to just get a steal, it seems like. Who's the steal right now? I think it's Emeka Egbuka. I could definitely see that one. I like it. Continue to upgrade that receiving core. Now you've got Zay Flowers and Egbuka as your long-term pieces there. Mark Andrews at tight ends till Isaiah Likely. Really get that passing game going. Yeah, I could see that one. 49ers. They could really upgrade that offensive line. Tyler Booker. I could see that. They're also a team that they have their own board and they could certainly reach on. Like Josh Connerly, if he develops that strength a little bit, he could be a guy. Wyatt Milam's a good football player. Ariante Ursary, very good football player. But it seems like they just eschew their offensive line needs every year. They just wait till later on. And I did love them bringing in a Dominic Pooney this year. Landon Jackson's a lot of fun. Ashton Gelati's a lot of fun. Hopefully Dante Corleone's able to, stay healthy. It's an interesting one. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw gets back healthy for them. They could use another edge. Patrick Payton has really disappointed so far this year. I think they could use another corner as well. What's the best value? That's probably not, usually when you're looking at your board, 49ers aren't taking your top value, at least from my experience. Could they fall in love with a Landon Jackson? Maybe. He is unbelievably gifted athlete at his size. He's huge for an edge type player. You can move him around the front. He's got unique bend for and flexibility for his size as well. Let's go Landon Jackson. Have some fun. Why don't we? 32 final pick, Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team that usually does have a board similar to mine. What do we want to do for the Chiefs? Obviously, you could address corner for the Kansas City Chiefs. Wouldn't be surprised if they trade down. Wouldn't be surprised if they go after a defensive lineman or an edge. They do love to do that. They could still use long-term wide receiver help, right? I mean, Rashee Rice is obviously there. Travis Kelce not going to be around forever at tight end. Hopefully, Jared Wiley and company can kind of replace some of that production. Juju not going to be around a long time. But so you have Rashee and Xavier Worthy as your kind of long-term options in the passing game for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that Evan Stewart needs to show more at Oregon than he did the past couple of years, but I think he's got unbelievable talent. Alec Ayomanor out of Stanford is a big-bodied guy as well. Chris Jones not going to be around forever, but I still think he is in his prime. This is a tough one for the Chiefs right now. He obviously drafted the kid out of Kansas State a couple years ago in the first round. You have George Karlaftis. You have some depth there. It's a tough one. Tough pick. Definitely not looking at linebacker. I think we're going to go wide receiver, Evan Stewart. I think he's going to have a big year at Oregon. So, yeah, that does it for this first round mock draft. We'll roll through it so y'all can see the results here again real quick. Travis Hunter, 1 overall to the Panthers. Will Campbell to the Patriots. Tedrow McMillan. T-Mac to the Denver Broncos. Carson Beck to the Giants. James Pierce Jr. to the Titans. Will Johnson to the Commanders. Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders. Emory Jones to the Saints. Mason Graham to the Minnesota Vikings. Michael Williams to the Cardinals. Abdul Carter to the Seahawks. Siobhan Ravel to the Colts. Nick Scorton to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Luther Burden to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Benjamin Morrison to the Jags. Malachi Starks, my number 1 overall prospect, to the Los Angeles Chargers. Kelvin Banks to the Cleveland Browns. Denzel Burke to the Rams. Deion Walker to the Bears. Kenneth Grant to the Falcons. Jonas Avenea playing guard to the Miami Dolphins. Colston Loveland to the Jets. Takario Davis to the Packers. Ashton Jeanty to the Houston Texans. Isaiah Bond helping out CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. Princely Umanmielen offering some real pass rush juice to the Bills there. Harold Perkins needs to help out with that linebacker core in Philly. Jack Sawyer to the Cincinnati Bengals there. JT Tuimoloau to the Detroit Lions. Emeka Egbuka to the Ravens. Landon Jackson to the 49ers. And Evan Stewart to the Kansas City Chiefs. That is going to do it here. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and happy NFL season to you all.